Hello, everyone. It's Mr. Kissinger at the Citizenship Academy in Syracuse, New York. And this is 5th grade math, module 5, lesson 16. We're going to be drawing trapezoids to clarify their attributes and define trapezoids based on those attributes. So we're working with trapezoids a little bit today. So let's take a look at our first page here. And it says, use a straight edge and the grid paper to draw. So I'm going to be using my green ruler here as a straight edge. And this one says it wants me to draw a trapezoid with exactly 2 right angles. And trapezoids, so we're going to have a few new terms here that we're going to have to define. So first and foremost, trapezoid. That a trapezoid is a figure, a quadrilateral that will have 2 sides, at least 2 parallel sides. So at least one set of parallel sides. So we want to make a trapezoid. So it needs to have those 2 parallel sides, and it needs to have 2 right angles. So how I would envision that is first I'm going to go to the bottom of my trapezoid here. And then I'm going to make this side flat because I want my right angles here. And I'm just going to make this part sort of like a rectangle. This side I'm going to go a little further away. And then I'm going to connect these 2 ends here. So if we look here, we have a right angle and a right angle. When it says a right angle, it means that we want a 90-degree angle. It's going to have 2 perpendicular lines that are meeting there that you can fit a square right into the corner there. So we have 2 of those. And then the next one it says a trapezoid with no right angles. So this time we want a trapezoid with no right angles. I'm just going to draw kind of a traditional trapezoid that you tend to think about when you think about trapezoids. This is called the isosceles trapezoid. Or we're going to have 2 sides that are the same length. So I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go into. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go into and draw my lines. And I got to connect the top. Now I have a trapezoid here, this isosceles trapezoid with no right angles. So I have one of my trapezoids here. The one trapezoid has 2 right angles, and then I have one with no right angles. And the important thing to notice is that the thing that makes them both trapezoids is they have at least one set of parallel sides. So right there, right there. Those 2 sides are parallel on both of those trapezoids. So moving on to number 2, it says Kaplan incorrectly sorted some quadrilaterals into trapezoids and non-trapezoids as pictured below. Circle the shapes that are in the wrong group and then tell why they are sorted incorrectly. So let's look at these trapezoids first. We're going to circle the ones that are not trapezoids, so they don't have at least one pair of parallel sides. I don't think this one has a set of parallel sides. This one has two sides that are parallel. This one has two sides that are parallel. Looks like this one does. And it looks like this one does as well. So these all look pretty good aside from that one right there. That one we're going to circle because that one's not a trapezoid. Now let's look at the next category here. This one looks like a rectangle, but technically that rectangle is a trapezoid. We have at least one set of parallel sides. So a rectangle is a trapezoid by definition. This one here, we have a parallelogram, and it's also going to be a trapezoid. So here we're circling ones that are trapezoids because they are in the non-trapezoid section. This one here does not have two parallel sides. So that one is not a trapezoid. It's in the right section. And this little square right here has, well, this has four parallel sides. So does this one. We'll show those parallel sides just because they're there for us. It looks like these ones are parallel too. I'll put some little parallel signs there. All right. So it says, explain what tools would be necessary to verify the placement of all the trapezoids. I think if we really wanted to measure to see if they were parallel, we could use either a ruler or a protractor to figure out the angles to make sure that the angles would be the same for the two opposite sides. But just by sight, we can kind of see which ones are parallel and which ones are not. So I'm going to flip to the next page here. This one's telling us, it says use a straight edge. So my ruler out here, it says use a straight edge to draw an isosceles trapezoid on the grid paper. Well, we drew one just a little while ago here. We'll draw a different one this time. Let's do, make this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the class. Bottom. And then make it just 4 across the top. We'll connect these. And the important part is that these two sides are the same length. This side here and this side here are the same. And we know that if we look at like these right triangles here, we could do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I could find out exactly what, how many units this is. I mean, I'd have two units and 4 units. So I'd have 4 plus 16, which would give me 20. And that would give me whatever the square root of 20 is. It wouldn't be a super easy number to find, but we know that this and this would end up being the same because we went over 2 and up 4, and over 2 and up 4. And the reason this is called an isosceles trapezoid is the same reason that it's called an isosceles triangle. When we have a triangle that has 2 lengths of the same. So let's pretend that this was a triangle and a dotted line here to make the rest of the triangle. Rid of this here. we have an isosceles triangle, if we continue those lines upward, an isosceles trapezoid is exactly the same thing, except it's a trapezoid. It's a trapezoid that has two sides that are the same length. Just like an isosceles triangle would be a triangle with two sides that have the same length. All right, so that's all the time we're going to have for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time.